Come on in, girl. Get comfortable. I want to welcome you to Simple Beauty with Tasha. We love all things beauty over here, and I mean it, girl, all things. We are beauty fanatics over here, and I want to invite you to become part of the family. If you love beauty and or hair and or skincare, all the beauty things, I invite you to come on in because we talk about it all. If you love talking about beauty, watching beauty content, we welcome you on in. Come on in, sit down, have a seat, girl. Get comfortable because we have a beautiful look for you today. This look is neutral with a pop on the lids. The lip is neutral, the cheeks are neutral, the outer V is neutral, just that pop on the lid. I love that. But so you can see how I came up with this look today, let's go ahead and get into the video. Good morning. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Today we've got a story time video. This will probably be the last or the next to last one. I am running out of things to tell you about. I'm running out of things to tell you about, girl. So we've got the face all nice and plump and juicy and ready for makeup application. We used the Fenty Beauty Moisturizer like we do every day, girl, every day. Also every day is the Supergoop Mineral Mattescreen Primer and SPF. So now we're going to prep our eyes for eyeshadow. Don't pay attention to how dirty it is, girl. This is just saying I really like the palette. All of the smudge marks, it just says I really like the palette, right? So these are the shades. The shimmers, if not all, most are shifty, you know, duochromes. So we are going to do probably something with this shadow right here. That's probably the shadow I'll put on my lid. And we'll use these brown shades, probably this one in the crease, this one right here in the outer V. And I may or may not go in with this smoky shade right here. So the first one we're gonna try is Comet right there. So yes, welcome to a story time video. These are videos that I really do enjoy filming for you guys, telling you a little bit more about myself. Now this one is gonna be like just a really fun one. Like it's not anything real deep, just a little fun video. And this is a video telling you about two firsts that I've had. So my first car and my first apartment. So we'll start with my first car, which was technically not my first car. This car was, and I'll put pictures on the screen of these cars, but this car was a car that I inherited. So my mom drove it, my dad drove it. It is, or was, a 1977 Monte Carlo. Where my seasoned sisters at? Where my seasoned sisters at? Because if you know about the 1977 Monte Carlo, baby, she was everything back in the day. She was everything, but here's the problem. By the time I got her, she was like old news, okay? She was rusted out. That was back when they made cars out of like, I think actual metal or something, but I guess they had to because girl, on the side, on the driver's side of the car, there was a section probably at least this long of just rusted out metal. And it was a hole, like an actual hole, okay, in the car, and you could see all the rust. And like I said, it was like probably at least this long. But what else did I have to drive? You know what I'm saying? So I drove what was available to me. So the shade I just put in my outer V is called Mars. And then this one is Quasar that I'm about to put on my lid. So yeah, girl, this car, I used to call her Bessie because she was just that type of car. Like you had to like press that gas pedal 3 times, not 2, not 1, not 4, 3 times, or she wouldn't start up. I tried the other ones. I tried 1, 2, 3 times. 3 times or she wouldn't start. Like 3 times, press that gas pedal and then crank her up. And she would go every time. I don't care what the temperature outside was. If it was, you know, I lived in St. Louis. So we got really, really bad snowstorms. Like 12, 13, 14 inches of snow back then. It didn't matter. She would crank up. All you had to do was press that gas pedal, girl, 3 times, okay? That was it. So the engine in her was pretty good, but, you know, considering, but yeah, 3 times. So it was a 1977 Monte Carlo. I got the car, I drove it when I would come home from college. So that was 87 through 91. When I graduated in 91, I started driving her, you know, to work in different places, wherever I needed to go. That was the car I drove in 91, and I drove it until 93. So this was a 1977 Monte Carlo that I drove until like 93, 92, 93. Actually, I think it was 92. It was. So from 77 to 92 is how long we had that car. That's 15 years. Yeah, she was 15 years old when we got rid of her. And when I tell you we got our money's worth out of that car, we definitely did. Fenty concealer in the shade 410. But yeah, girl, that car with that long front, that car is actually the car that I learned how to drive in. That car is the car that I got my driver's license in. Like, girl, you had to know what you was doing to be 5 feet 1 inch tall and driving a car with a front end that long. Okay, I'll never forget. What is that saying? By the skin of your teeth or whatever. I remember the person that conducted my driving test told me that I passed by the skin of my teeth or whatever that saying is. And I want to say, I'm 5'1" driving this long car. Like, you should give me extra points for doing that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was thankful for the car at the time because that was my only option. So I was just glad that I had something to be able to go to the store in, to work in, the little jobs I had at that time. You know, just thankful that it was a paid-for running car that I could use. You know, that's just kind of was my mentality back then. But then it became a time where I just couldn't take it anymore, right? Because the brakes started going out. So whenever I would come to a red light and there were cars sitting in front of me, you know, I'm coming to a red light, I would have to use both my feet. Both my feet to stop the car and just press and press. I would tell my daddy, I can't stop this car, you know. And so eventually he was like, okay, let's just see if we can go find something. So that's when I ended up with a 1988 Chevy Spectrum. You ain't never heard of it. You ain't never heard of it, girl. They don't make them anymore, but it was red, and this was the year 94. So it was 1994 and the car is a 1988. So yeah, we found it, and guess how much the car note was? $120 a month. $120. That's how much my car note was. But the thing about it is that I don't really consider this my first car either. I really don't. And the reason is because my dad had to co-sign for me to get the car. He had to co-sign for me to get a car with a $120 payment. That's because the job that I had right after college, I told y'all about in another story time, it was the job I had at a bank in St. Louis, and I was releasing car notes or car titles. I was releasing car titles. So when you paid off your car, I would send you your car title. That's what my job was. I was making peanuts. I wasn't making any money, hardly at all. So my dad had to co-sign for me to get this car. So to me, it's really not my first car, in my opinion. So this is the Makeup Forever powder, and it's in the shade 4N67. That's what she looks like in the pan. And this is what she looks like on the skin. This one is so beautiful. It gives great coverage. I really, really, really am into this powder. And if you're new here, I only use powder foundations. So I don't particularly care for liquid or cream. I like the lighter feel of a powder foundation, so that's just what I go for. So yes, a 1988 Chevy Spectrum. Very boxy car, and when I say base model, I mean base model. It had nothing in it but a radio. That's it. You know, if you wanted to pull your seat up, now I'm 5 feet 1 inch tall, so I had to deal with wherever the seats were sat when they made the car. You know, there was no electric way to pull the seats up or down or whatever. There was just this lever in the front where you scoot yourself up. You know what I'm talking about, girl. And it had crank windows, girl. Crank windows, not windows you roll up and down. Crank windows. That's what we used to call it. Where my seasoned sisters at, because you know what I'm talking about. Crank the window, where you had to roll it up and down. You in the driveway, your mother come to the door, right? Because she forgot to tell you something. So you got to reach over, crank that window. What you say? You know what I'm talking about. All it had in the inside was a radio, crank windows, girl, a steering wheel. That's, I mean, you know, base. But a guy that lived across the street from me, God rest his soul, he offered to install a cassette player in my car, girl. I was so happy. He did it. He took me to, I think, Circuit City, I think was the store we went to, and I picked out a cassette player. He helped me pick it out. We went home, he installed it. So I was at least at that point, like a month or so into having the car, I was at least able to play my cassette player or my cassette tapes. So that was really good. So then I could come down the street, you know, bumping my music and everything. Yeah, girl, I was happy to have it. Let's do the matte Skin Finish Bronzer by MAC. And it's in richer golden. Let's use a fluffy brush for this one, the BK Beauty number 102. And we're just gonna pick up some of the product, just like that. And just kind of wisp it all over the skin, but in a certain area, but kind of haphazardly. This one is that MAC powder we just put on, the MAC bronzer. This one is the Too Faced cream bronzer in chocolate mocha. So this one, I mean, that's brown period, right? This one, it looks brown. I don't know, but sometimes on my skin I feel like it looks gray. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Let's use the NARS blush in the shade Infatuated. It looks like that. We're just gonna put that on the cheeks. Let's use the Sephora Pro Brush number 96. Everything is really neutral except for the pop on my lids. That's how I like to do it. So we'll also go in with like a very neutral lip today, just because the lids are doing a lot. But let's get into the brows. So yeah, that 1998 Chevy Spectrum had a great engine in it. It ran, you know, with no problems at all. Like, it was a good car. It just, you know, it was just base model. But you know, in the springtime, when you don't really want to run the air conditioning, you don't want to have to reach over, you know, and crank that window down every time. You know what I'm saying? Then you got to crank it back up when you get home, girl. Or when you get to the store. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to do that. So in 1994, I got my first car. This one is what I consider my first car because I paid for it all by myself. I applied for it, paid for it all by myself. So this was a good one. A 1994, so girl, it was 94 and I got a 94, so it was brand new. A brand new 1994 Honda Civic. White with all the bells and whistles, girl. It had a sunroof. It had the dash was beautiful. It had all the everything that was available at that time. I loved this car. I loved this car. It was white, gray interior, girl. But let me tell you something. It was a stick shift. Do you know how to drive a stick shift? Me either. This is the thing. I'm buying this car on my own, so the stick shift was, if I remember correctly, $1,500 cheaper than buying, you know, the automatic transmission. So I went for the stick shift to save some money. Did not know how to drive a stick shift, but I learned, right? I learned, you know, that's just a Tasha mentality. It can't be that hard. It's not smarter than I am. You know what I'm saying? So we went for the stick shift. Girl drove off the lot in that thing. Oh my goodness. But it took me probably only like 3 days to really get it down because I was so determined, because I love the car so much. I mean, I was determined. So I was going to learn how to drive the stick shift, and I did it. Now I'm like a pro at it, of course, you know, because I drove the car a few years. I'm a pro at it. Can you drive a stick shift? Do you know how to do it? I used to love to be at the stoplight and make the car kind of go back. I don't know how to explain it. Go back and forth. I don't know what that extra pedal is called, because there are 3 pedals. There's the brake, the gas, and then that other pedal. I don't know what that other pedal is called, but you would kind of play with that 3rd pedal and the gas pedal, and it would kind of make the car go back and forth, kind of rock back and forth. If you know how to drive a stick shift, you know what I'm talking about. But girl, yeah, that was the car. That was the car. As you can see in the picture, I thought I was everything in this car, girl. Everything. I loved it. This was also back when you used to take a picture of yourself with your car. When my daughter bought her first car, I was like, you got to make sure you take a picture. So she took some really cute pictures. I took pictures of her with her first car. That was so much fun. Let's start off with the Too Faced OG mascara. I'm gonna get that on first. My battery is about to overheat, so I'm gonna get the mascara on, and then we'll come back and do the lip, and then I'll tell you about my first apartment. Okay, I thought I was recording and I wasn't. I've got on mascara in the Too Faced OG mascara. I placed a brown lip liner on, and then we've got the shade Sesame in the Tower 28 lip gloss. As you can see, maybe you can see, I've used a good deal of this. This is a shade that's like, you know, maybe a little bit deeper than my skin tone. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very pretty. And it goes with any neutral look that you come up with. So that's the look, girl. That's the look for today. Very, very cute look with a pop on the lid, and then everything else just really neutral. But let me tell you about my first apartment. My first apartment was on a ground floor. Not good for a single female, right? But it was all they had, supposedly. Anyway, ground floor, it had burgundy carpet. It was a nice sized apartment. I've got a picture of me in my kitchen. This was probably back in, I don't know, maybe 94 also. Yeah, this was in 1994. So 94 was a big year for me, right? New car, new apartment, new job. I was doing it in 94. But I didn't have any furniture. There used to be this store back then called Rent-A-Center. I don't know if we still have that, but it was called Rent-A-Center. Maybe everybody was coming over for the Super Bowl and you wanted a big TV, right? You could go to Rent-A-Center, rent the TV. They would drop it off before the game. After the game, they, you know, like the next day or whatever, they would come pick it up. Whatever the contract says, you would sign a contract. You could do it for furniture, TVs, all kinds of things. So also though, Rent-A-Center had a section where you could buy stuff that they had already rented and it was used basically, and they were ready to just like sell it, and you could buy it at like, you know, really reduced prices. So that's where I ended up getting my bed frame from. I don't remember where I got the mattress, but girl, Rent-A-Center was so inexpensive. Like, it was so cheap, girl. It was the cheapest thing ever. And then, you know, those Walmart plastic white storage things with the drawers. I got some of those. Those were my dresser inside my walk-in closet, girl. That was my dresser that I got from Walmart. And then the couch in the living room, my father had a friend in St. Louis that had a couch and a love seat that he was ready to get rid of. So me and Melvin, we drove to St. Louis, rented a U-Haul, went to his house, and picked up the couch and the love seat. So when we got to his house, he was like, yeah, you can have the couch and the love seat. Now the baby's been spitting up all over it, but you can have it if you want it. But girl, listen, it was free. I took it. We loaded that sucker up on the truck. Also, he was like, hey, I've got this floor model Do y'all know what that is? A floor model TV. You can have that too. I took it. It was color floor model TV. I took it, girl. And I watched the TV for probably 2 years in my little apartment. I had also a glass table. I may have a picture of that somewhere. If I do, I'll show it to you. But I had a glass table that I got also from Rent-A-Center, girl. Just piecing it together. Eventually, I had somewhere to sit in the living room. I had a TV in the living room. I had somewhere to eat in my little dinette area. I bought like one of those boxes of pots and pans that you can get from Walmart. I bought one of those. I had my little bed, my little plastic drawer in my closet. You know, it was just a first apartment experience. And, you know, I was happy though. You know, it was a really fun time. I was on my own, like really and truly for the first time. And it was a really good experience. I just didn't care for living on the first floor. So I only stayed in that apartment for 6 months. Also, this apartment didn't have washer dryer hookups. Now back in the day, they didn't give you the washer and dryer. They just gave you the washer and dryer hookups. So you'd have to go buy your own and hook it up. So I was still going to the laundromat to wash my clothes. No, girl, no. I only stayed in that apartment for 6 months and then I moved to another apartment. But yeah, the whole first floor and no washer and dryer hookups. I'm washing my clothes at the laundromat. Girl, no, that wasn't gonna work for me. But I was on my way, y'all. I was on my way. I felt so good being independent and taking care of myself. I didn't eat sometimes, but you know, that was just part of it. I knew that I would be successful. I knew in my heart that I would not be in this position for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So I worked hard. I worked so hard. I mean, I worked really hard and got my income up and all the things. So yeah, that's really it. Those are my first apartment, my first car. I was driving the 1994 Honda Civic, living in my first apartment. At that time, I felt, you know, like an adult. I felt like this is the start, but this isn't where I'm gonna, you know, end up. This is not going to be my life forever. I will achieve the things in life I want, but this is just where I'm starting. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much. Thank you for being here for another story time. I really, really enjoy it. If you have, you know, an idea for a story time that I could do, just let me know. Otherwise, this is either the last one or maybe the story time before the last one. But if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy my Storytime series, which is linked below, I've got a playlist. If you enjoy it, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. Please don't forget to check out the videos that are popping up on the screen. And if you are new here, or if you've been watching my videos and you have not yet subscribed, I invite you to go ahead and subscribe, press the post notification bell. We would love to have you as part of the family. I absolutely cannot wait to see you on the next video. But until then, stay safe and always be blessed. Bye-bye.